Mario Lavista String Quartet number 1 will be the piece that I'm listening to today. And this piece is under the subtitle Diachronia. The score I have here is a handwritten score. It appears that even the title page is handwritten. And it's on pretty unassuming staff paper with huge staves, like 10 staves per page. And there's some rehearsal notes in here. I'm not sure where this scan came from because it was given to me by somebody. And it looks like each line of music is about 16 seconds. So it's an 8-minute piece with a 15-page score. So the layout is interesting. It looks very different from the other later quartets of Lavistas that we've looked at. This is the first time I've seen any sort of aleatoric writing in his music, and the first time I've seen any sort of harmonies that are this sort of atonal. So I'm really curious to see what this thing sounds like, and it's going to be an interesting read. I'm going to be listening to the Quarteto Latino Americano complete string quartets here. And as for the subtitle on this one, Diachronia, I think, means sort of like change over time. So pretty unassuming, but still intellectual sounding title. Let me grab the date for this one real quick, and maybe I can find the occasion that it was composed for too. Okay, so this piece is from 1969. So around this time, Lavista was attending Darmstadt and had probably studied with avant-garde composers of the time already. So this might sound very different from his later works, which I found to be very modal and sort of like Bartók, Stravinsky kind of sounding. This could sound like anything. So I will report back. Yeah. Okay, so I thought this was a very haunting and unique little set piece that could showcase a quartet really well. As I suspected, it's an atonal work, but it has this like 6-note motive that permeates it that is pretty catchy. I think most people would be able to sing it after listening to the piece. And it tended to slow down, like the density of ideas got less and less as the piece progressed, and he started to introduce more and more like long drone-like notes. So in terms of how things are laid out in time, he also has this notation thing where the rhythms aren't exact. The ensemble is just trying to like coordinate themselves within each 8-second span of the piece. So it feels very loose and methodical and slow. And it's a very pretty score to look at. I like his symbols for sol pont and sol tasto here, for example. And there was lots of neat ways that he coordinated the ensemble with his notation. If he wanted one or two people to play together, or the whole ensemble to play together, or maybe the end of somebody's idea to line up with the beginning of somebody else's. He was very meticulous about that, and there was no shortage of sort of novel little textures or gestures that emerged from it. So as far as atonal pieces go, I think it's pretty accessible and could pair well with a lot of other pieces. And I think for the time, it was probably very cutting edge and contemporary, because this we're talking about 1969 here. So even this type of notation is, very avant-garde. I'm thinking like Penderecki and everything that was going on in the 70s around this time. And Stockhausen, the stuff he was doing was certainly an influence here, I think. So yeah, that's Diachronia, or Diachronia, I'm not quite sure, for string quartet. And yeah, it's a nice little 8-minute piece. Yeah, fascinating to know that Lavista was doing this sort of thing before he pivoted into his later style, and I'm glad that his string quartets span such a large portion of his career, so that we can kind of see that that shift here.